Moving on, now let me usher in our reporter Mesh Musimbi with our agricultural segment, Kilimo Chapaa.
African nightshade, commonly known as Managu, can either be directly planted in a well-prepared field by seeds or first raised in a nursery bed for transplanting. When planting, use a string to make rows in your field. Spacing between rows should be 30 centimeters apart. Use a stick to make 1 centimeter deep furrow following the string. Mix seeds with soil and manure in a ratio of 1 to 4, 1 quantity of seed to 4 quantities of soil. Before planting, to avoid congestion and seed wastage, plant the seed in a furrow and cover with light soil. Germination of Managu is after 7 to 14 days. Hardening off is done starting on the 3rd week after sowing by slightly reducing the shade and also reducing the rate of water application. Eventually, the shade will be fully removed on the 4th week to expose the seedlings into the external environment once the seedlings attain 3 centimeters high. Managu are propagated from seeds, raising seedlings in a nursery. The soil in the nursery should be loosened and enriched with decomposed manure. Sow the mixture thinly, either by broadcasting or in rows 15 to 20 centimeters apart, and cover with a thin fine layer of soil. After sowing, the shed is erected 2 feet and 60 centimeters above the bed. The bed should be mulched with tall grass or a similar material to retain moisture. Mulching is also important to prevent the seeds from splattering around when irrigating the bed, especially during the rainy season. This will also depend on the weather. Transplant when seedlings have 6 true leaves and are 10 to 15 centimeters tall. The spacing should be done 20 centimeters in rows by 40 centimeters between the rows. Timely weeding minimizes competition for food and light between weeds and Managu. It gives your Managu better conditions to grow. Weeding also reduces pests and diseases infestation at early stages, which will lead to increased yields. Weeding should be done as soon as your weeds emerge and before the flowering of weeds. This will reduce the risk of weeds spreading. Thinning is done at a time of weeding. During thinning, the less vigorous off types of relative and diseased plants are removed. The good quality of thinned plants can be sold or consumed at home. Managu requires large amounts of nitrogen and therefore do well in soils that are rich in organic matter. They also grow well on land covered with ash from recent burned vegetation. Apply organic manure where possible. Frequent irrigation is needed for good yields. Pest and disease management should be a continuous effort by the farmer to ensure early intervention in case of an outbreak. Both organic and inorganic pesticides can be used to control pests and diseases. Note that the farmer should monitor the field to ensure quick action is taken in case of breakout of pests and diseases. Managu is not a drought-tolerant crop. It requires optimal moisture for a better performance. It can be grown in rain-fed areas or irrigated in dry areas. Irrigation can be drip or overhead. The crop does well when manure or compost is used. Since the crop is a leafy vegetable, it therefore requires a lot of nitrogen. Managu is ready for harvesting starting from 4 weeks after transplanting. The first way of harvesting Managu is by uprooting. Uprooting is done between the 10th and 11th week. This is mostly done in commercial production by uprooting the whole plant. The second way of harvesting Managu is by cutting tender stems 12 to 16 weeks. This is commonly done in kitchen gardens for home consumption. The tender stems are cut every 1 to 2 weeks until the plant flowers. Managu is ready for harvest 4 weeks from transplanting. The stems are cut approximately 15 centimeters above the ground. This allows new side shoots to develop. Picking is done at a weekly intervals. For Kilimo Chapaa Maisha Television, I'm Mesh Musimbi.